What's going on, everybody? LV Live and I are back doing Thursday afternoon talking about the New York Knicks. Obviously, the Knicks are headed out west. They have a tough road trip headed out, starting with tonight versus the Los Angeles Lakers. That will be a tough one because the Lakers are playing extremely well. Obviously, we'll talk about the matchup later on. But LV, how are you? What's going on?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Looking forward to this West Coast trip to see exactly where we're at. Playing a lot of good teams, but it's exciting, man. Getting down the stretch, close to the playoffs. So it's that playoff fever in the air, man. So we're really, really excited about that.
Getting close to the playoffs. Excited about that, but tough West Coast trip. And look, the Knicks just coming off a tough loss at home to the Golden State Warriors. Obviously, they had a great weekend in Memphis, in Miami, but no Karl-Anthony Towns in the Warriors game. Karl-Anthony Towns is available tonight versus the Los Angeles Lakers. He dealt with some personal issues, and hope all is well on Karl-Anthony Towns front. But it looks like I think OG Anunoby's questionable. Preston Achiuwa is questionable, but I'm assuming that those guys are going to play. But like I said, we'll talk about the game later on. So, LV, the Knicks are, once again, appreciate every single one of you in the chat. Subscribe to the channel. LV has a YouTube channel as well. Link is in the description. I see you guys all trickling in here. Some lunchtime hoop talk. So, LV, Knicks are 40-21 on the season. Their best 61 game start since the 1997 season, I believe. I got that from landofbasketball.com. Yet, despite the success, there's like an undercurrent of dissatisfaction among the fan base. So why does it feel like the pulse of Knicks Nation isn't as upbeat as the standings suggest? I guess is my question. We can start there, and then we can go to Mikal and so on and so forth.
I think it's all expectations, right? But
Yeah.
I'm gonna touch on this when I do that. Expect them to do Mikal as well. It's expectation versus reality, and I think that last year around this time, if you think around this time, we were 36-26 around this time.
Yeah.
That 97 team that you were talking about, their record was 46-16 around this time.
Mm-hmm.
We're 40-21. We're right there in the middle. So we're right there from being, one of the best starts or best records for the Knicks I've ever had during this time, right? So we're a really, really good team. Really, really good team. But once again, this is year one, right? So when we made all these moves, the expectation was championship. Now everyone's ready championship, and we talked about it. We mentioned it. I don't think they're ready yet, and that's just because of Boston and Cleveland is really really coming along. They're way better than what I thought, and of course OKC, right? Those are the two teams. Then now you sprinkle in Cleveland. I didn't think the Knicks were ready yet, but everybody else with the additions, they kind of feel like we should be in the championship. We should be right there in the driver's seat or right there with all those teams that are competing for a title. But guys, we still are really good. We're really, really good. We beat the Grizzlies twice, who are a really good team in the West, and we beat the Nuggets twice. Everyone's got the Nuggets in the possible getting to the finals championship or getting to the finals possibility. They got them in the conversation. We beat them twice. So we're still a really good team. But once again, as you know how New Yorkers are, we want everything right now, the microwave generation. But if you really break it down, guys, we are a really, really good team being 40-21 going into this West Coast trip. We're right there, man. But, it takes time, man. So you got to be patient with the development. Trust the process.
Trust the process. Well said. Got a poll in the YouTube chat. What's the pulse on the season? What's your pulse on the season thus far? I'm cool. Get me to the playoffs. Or I'm disappointed. Look, LV and I do post games, and you guys are in the post game support. And once again, appreciate the support. And after losses, it's doom and gloom. After wins, it's still, positivity, but you still see the negativity sprinkled in there. And like you said, expectations. You made the big trade for Cat. You made the big trade for Mikal. 0-7 against the Thunder, Cavs, Celtics. Obviously, that's going to stick with the Knicks until we play the Cavs and Celtics again later on in the season. We'll see if those, matchups matter that late in the season. But additionally, the offense now, after the All-Star break, has been kind of inconsistent, particularly, second half in the game versus Golden State. Turnovers, just lack of offensive cohesion. Bench production in that game was Duce has actually been playing better. He closed out the game in Miami. No Mikal Bridges. Once again, we'll speak about Mikal in a second. But, Shaman has been better. He hasn't been terrible, right? I mean, and now with Big Mitch back, we're 2-0 with Mitch and Cat. That's a positive, right? So Cat's available tonight. Stinks that Huck Porty is on the shelf with his knee injury, but just all in all, it's just the pulse of everything is like kind of strange in my opinion. But Elva, you still there? Still got you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
it's kind of like
a little bit. Yeah, lagged a little bit. All right, you still there? All right, so I guess we can. First of all, let's hit some of these. Tony, what's going on in the chat? Dis Rover, what's going on in the chat? Big Task, the two great ones. Big salute. What's going on, Big Task? Ed Santana says it's time to flip Bridges this summer for another piece. Here it goes. Here it goes. This Rover says lunchtime with Ant and LV. All right, I guess we can transfer into Mikal Bridges, LV. So, once again, Knicks' record is really good. But it just seems like the pulse of Knicks Nation is, kind of meh. So Mikal Bridges, what's the disconnect with Mikal Bridges? Because his usage rate, 17.7%, nearly identical to his last season in Phoenix. Numbers look solid, LVs. 50% from mid-range, 74% at the rim, 57% effective field goal percentage, but 29% on non-corner threes. Impact on offense. The Knicks offense is neutral with him on the court. Not great, not bad. And it's actually, if you want to get deep into the numbers, it's actually negative 0.5 points per possession with him playing on the court. For comparison, during his Phoenix days, it was plus 7.7, plus 8.8 points possession. I know I'm getting kind of nerdy here, but it's good to like go through these numbers. Defense is slightly better with him on the court. So I said a lot there. Is it a coaching issue? Is it a confidence issue? What is it with Mr. Mikal Bridges?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And I think, once again, we got to get back to expectation versus reality, right? The expectation of him getting here and coming here with 6 picks, whatever the picks were, was that, okay, we're getting back a special type of player. He's not an all-star, guys. He's not an all-star. He's not. He's a really good role player. Once you're able to identify who he is, then the reality of this is what he gives. It's not his fault that the Knicks decided to give up 6 picks for this guy. I would have never did that. I don't think he's worth that, but they did it. I think you do that for a guy like Giannis or any of these top guys out there, KD, of course, maybe Devin Booker, right? The legit top dogs in this league. You don't do that for him, but the Knicks did it. That's not on him. And I'm glad you threw out those numbers, man. He's averaging 17.4 points a game, man. Those are really good numbers. Shooting 48% from the field, shooting 35% from three. Those are really solid numbers for a number 3 or 4 option. What would he look like with Boston? What would he look like with the Cavs? What would he look like if you sent him to OKC? What would he look like? So, I mean, he's a really, really good player, man. Now, is he having an up and down year? You want to say that? Okay, cool. The numbers don't say it, but as we as Knicks fans see through that lens, he has had a roller coaster season. But that's what happens, guys, when you leave a situation where you were the man, 1A guy, taking all the shots. He averaged 19.6 last year. It's pretty equal to almost what he's averaging this year. Give it to take 2 points, right? Mm-hmm. But his usage rate was higher. So now you tell him to come over here and be this guy in Phoenix that he hasn't been for the last 2 seasons. That's a lot to do, man. In one season. And he's not an all-star. And he's not a first-team, second-team All-NBA guy. So what is the real expectation for him? OG Anunoby's a better player than him, man. Pound for pound, OG Anunoby's a better player than him. That's why he's getting $212 million. Mikal's not worth that. So once again, expectation versus reality. Like, you got to look at it through that lens. He's not playing great, but he's not playing bad neither. Guys, we are 40-21, man. Look at our record, man.
Yeah.
Look at our record with him. Like, it's not like we stink. We're one of the best teams in the league. So for me, that's why I'm looking at it the way I'm looking at it with him. Because when he came here, I wasn't expecting him to be the savior. Now, if you're telling me you're having an up and down season from Cat that's getting $60 million a year, now we're having a different conversation, right? He's an all-star. He's all NBA guy. You're expecting that production night in and night out. With these really solid role players, you're gonna have roller coasters. I mean, that's just what comes with these guys. Look at OG Anunoby. He hasn't been perfect this year. Prior to him getting that foot injury, he was like really up and down.
Yeah,
And
struggle.
everybody was complaining, saying, "Oh, we should have gave this guy all this money. He's injury prone, right? All this extra stuff that people were saying about him." And I'm like, "Listen, man, the guy's worth every penny. Other teams were going to pay him that. People were like, yo, we should have never paid him that amount of money." And now look at him now. Right before the playoffs, OG Anunoby is picking it up. So this is why he costs what he costs. Mikal's not worth that. So once again, expectation versus reality. The guy's a solid ball player, man. And, I always ask myself when I look at these guys, I say, okay, well, how would he look if he was, like I said, with Boston? He would be putting up numbers. He would be killing. You know why? Coaching and situations. So that's why I say I think it's a little bit of both. Because Mikal, has got to make a change. He's got to kind of, figure out things because this is a new situation, new system. It's only year one. But then to me, Tibbs has got to make, he's got to be smart enough to say, okay, this guy is a good offensive player. We got to try to make plays and set plays up to get him going. Like, if he's struggling, okay, cool. Let's put him with that second unit out there with Mitch or with Cat or however, and let's run some plays for him. Let's do that. And I think that that's important. So that's why I say it's a little bit of both. But, man, listen, once again, expectation versus reality with him.
Like that you said that, expectations versus reality. I think the 5 first-round picks kind of set some unrealistic expectations for Mikal Bridges because anytime you trade that many amount of picks for a player, you expect them to, be a superstar, be a stud. But that was a Knicks tax, and that's what it took to get there. So I think that's the disconnect that fans are having. They expect this difference maker. They equate it's always as long as Mikal Bridges isn't in a New York Knicks uniform, he's always going to have the 5 first-round picks attached to him. And I just think that's kind of like a detriment to him because is he worth that? No. But it was a Knicks tax. And some ways where I think he can get better, I think fans just expect a lot from him. And he's had great games. He's had poor games. He's just been okay. I've said it in post games. He's just been okay. He hasn't been great. He hasn't been bad. He's been fine. He's been solid. But what I've seen from him, LV, is, all right, his free throw struggles. So let's get to this free throw stat that I found. So last season in Brooklyn, Mikal Bridges had 317 total free throw attempts. This season, he is on pace for, I think, just 110. So that is less than half of last year. Also, he's shooting a career low 72% from the free throw line. Aggressiveness is an issue. He's not being aggressive. He needs to attack the rim more and embrace contact, in my opinion. That's just not. Look, I know he's never been elite at drawing fouls, but this season it's been especially bad. Like, it's been terrible. Decision making. I said this on the post game. I said that it just seems like he's trying too hard to make the perfect play. He always wants to make the perfect play. And the Knicks don't need him to go rogue, but, they need him to be more aggressive. Like Jimmy Butler in the second half, drawing fouls, like stuff like that. Just slow down the game, give everyone a breather. It just seems like he wants to make the perfect play at all times. And that's cool. That's fine. He doesn't want to make a mistake, but I just think he's struggling right now. Aggressiveness, maybe he's hurt. Maybe the Iron Man streak is catching up to him. I don't know. But, yeah, the free throws, 300 last season with Brooklyn, 317 total free throw attempts. And, this year's is not great. So regarding that, LV, what do you have to say?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. This is easy. Yeah. You got to look at who's he out on the court with, man. He's got Brunson, he's got Cat. Those dudes are ball dominant, man.
Yeah.
So the numbers are going to be down, especially with that. Now, the aggressive piece, I agree with that. Okay, he's got to be a lot more aggressive going to the rim. But to me, that's where the second unit comes into play there. And like, put him with that unit to where the floor opens up for him. But if you got 2 ball-dominant guys in Brunson and Cat that are taking majority of the shots and the offense is running through them, he's not going to be doing the same things he did in Brooklyn. It's just not. So you're going to see a fall off in certain areas of what it is that he does. The court is smaller now for him. he doesn't have the room to operate because the ball is going through him. So that's an adjustment that he's got to make, right? That's not really the coaching. He's got to kind of adjust to that. And it takes, once again, it takes time to do that. So what I see from him, like you said, he's overthinking, right? I think he's trying to find his spots where he can do what he does, but not maybe step on those guys' toes, if that makes any sense. He knows who team this is.
Yeah.
He knows who runs the show. It's Cat and Brunson. Like, he knows that. So I think it's just him discovering, all right, cool, this is where I attack. This is where I got to fall back. This is where – that's an adjustment when you are used to being the guy a whole year last year, and now the ball's in my hands. The court is much wider now because now I could do what I want. He can't do that here. He can't. So now he's got to adjust to that. So on the other aspect, that's where coaching comes in. Because you got to identify those numbers like you just stated. So the coach has to say, okay, cool. How can we get this guy going to where he's not, maybe to your point, Ant, overthinking this game? And I'm seeing where at pockets he's struggling. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sub you out first. When that second unit comes out, we're going to have Cat out there or maybe Mitch. It's your show. Brunson's going to be on the bench. He's going to be on the bench. It's your show. We're going to be running sets, picks, cuts, everything with you sliding, going to the basket, and doing what you need to do. Through that should maybe build up the momentum. The other dynamic of this, too, is, which is huge. Every night, he's playing the best offensive player. Every night. Every night. That takes a lot out of your legs. That takes a lot out of the player. It does. So he doesn't really have time to rest. And then if he's getting cooked by Steph Curry, if he's getting cooked by John Morant, everyone's destroying him. So it's like, listen, man, I can't do anything right. Because, of course, these guys are going to get busy. They're all NBA guys. These are the elites of the elites that he's guarding night in and night out. If Luka's out there tonight, he might have to guard Luka at times. If not, they'll probably put OG Anunoby on him. But I'm just saying, so if it's a smaller guard, like if we go back to Golden State, like that's on the road trip, he's going to be guarding Steph again. Mm-hmm. And so, that's tough to do. So there's certain things where you're absolutely right, and I agree. And that's where I say he's got to kind of figure that out because this is a new place. This is only year one. But the other dynamic is it's really up to the coaches to really identify what you have in this guy and say, okay, let me get him on that second unit to where he can be the guy. You know what I mean? That's really, really important to do. But, is Tibbs going to do that? Is he paying attention to that? I don't know. But what I do know is that, and I know for a fact, if he was out in Boston or someplace else, these coaches would find a way. OKC, they will find a way to tap into that unlocked potential that he has because they know how good of a player that he is.
So you're leaning towards it's more of a Tom Thibodeau coaching staff that they have to try to get him going in certain situations, put him with the bench in certain
if you want to do percentages, and I would say it's probably 60-40. I would say 60-40 to coaches because he's not going to – you can't expect him to be the same Mikal that he was over there in Brooklyn or Phoenix because you got two dominant guys at the top of the key in Brunson and Cat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're ball dominant guys. So if you want the same type of production or similar, you're going to have to put him in a position on that second unit where you can say, this is yours. This is your time. This is all you because he's that good offensively. Now, I think, once again, I mentioned it earlier, I think OG Anunoby's a better player because he can guard many different positions. He's a bigger wing. That's why he's getting the money he's getting, right? But I think offensively, Mikal's got a little bit more of a better bag than OG Anunoby. OG Anunoby put the ball on the floor. He's going to lose it. He turns it over every single time he tries to go past somebody. Yeah. So offensively, he's a more gifted player than OG Anunoby. But totality, OG Anunoby's a better player than him. He is.
How about OG these last few games? Phenomenal. The game in Miami, he was, I don't know what he ate, drank before that game. He was just incredible. Whatever you did, even versus Golden State, he was unstoppable. And it looks like he shed some pounds, and it looks like he's in great shape. But Mikal's been, for me, I separate the picks and Mikal, and I try to. I know you can't really do that, but for what we've asked for our record, I mean, he's guarding the team's best player majority of the time. His defense has improved a little bit than early on in the season when it was bad. And it's only been 2 games with Mitchell Robinson. And, the last game versus Golden State, we just didn't have Cat, unfortunately. No excuses, I understand. But, look, Mikal has been okay to me. But to me, I just think it's the free throws. Like I think he just needs to be a little bit more aggressive and get to the line because this free throws compared to like last year is just alarming. I think I saw a stat from Knicks Muse, and he said Mikal Bridges is on pace to become the first player in NBA history to score 1,100 plus points while attempting less than 90 free throws in a single season.
Yeah.
It's a crazy stat. And look, last year, he was the guy in Brooklyn, so I don't even like he had 317 free throw attempts. But
that's a lot.
It is a lot. But it's like his average seasons, he averages like 130, like 140. 2 seasons ago, 179, 174. This season, 66. And when he's getting at to the line, it's 72% career low free throw percentage. So I just think in pockets, he needs to be more aggressive and get to the line more because and like you said, I think he needs to be involved with the bench more. And Mitch just got back, so I think it will take time. And I think the coaching staff needs to figure that out. They need to. Tom Thibodeau.
They have to. That's where it falls on them because when see, I know because I played, right? I played in high school and college. I know it sounds crazy. People don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. So I know what he's looking at. When you got really good players on the court, and you're used to having the ball in your hand all the time, the court seems bigger. It's because you have a lot of room to operate. So you can really do what you want to do to penetrate and score and do all that stuff. So you're going to draw fouls because you have more opportunities to do so. When you got two guys that are ball dominant like Brunson and Cat, that is really hard to do, Ed. That's really hard to do because the court shrinks. So you don't really have the room to operate the way you want to draw those fouls because the court, it feels like you can't go nowhere. It feels like you're in a box. It's weird to explain, but it feels like that because you got Brunson over there, you got Cat over there. So those guys, most of the time, if you have guys that aren't offensive dominant like those guys, they kind of clear out the way. So now you got room to penetrate, to do whatever because the offense flows around you. So your mindset changes in a sense where you have those guys, so you're not as aggressive. Does that make sense? And so you're passing the ball a lot to them. So where you have shots, you take those shots. And it may not be the shots that you want, but your mindset is, and this is where you stated earlier, it's a mental thing in a sense. He probably feels like these are my pockets to score. Because with those guys, I can't really do what I really want to do like I did in Brooklyn. So if this is a fall away, then I got to take that. If this is maybe I'm cutting to the basket, quick layup, cool. All right. But one-on-one, me doing my thing, going to the rack, it's not enough room to do that. And so that's why I'm stressing that second unit because then he can really, really do him. You don't have Brunson out there. You don't have Cat out there in some instances. Now with Mitch back. So now it gives him full reign to really kind of we got to untap that, like what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. We got to untap that. But how do we untap that? Because it's easy to tell the guy, just go to the rack, just score, and just draw fouls. It's not that easy. Like it's just not when you got those type of guys on the court who are ball dominant guys and they take up majority of the court. But when you don't have those guys out there, the defense is not as focused on them. They're focused on you. So now it gives you room to operate.
Yeah, well said. Appreciated you guys hopping in here on this Thursday afternoon. Knicks got a basketball game tonight versus Los Angeles Lakers. Once again, subscribe to the channel, smash the like button. Appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for the support as always. Let's get to some of these comments, LV. Tony says, coaching has to do a better job to create easier shots for this team. Every possession seems like a struggle to get an easy basket, especially in that game versus Golden State. Every possession seems like it goes down to the final seconds of the shot clock. Yeah, that just needs to be fixed. He then says, two, we draw up nothing on offense in certain situations and timeout. Mikal doesn't struggle. The issue is coaching. A good coach put players in great situations to their game. So he agrees with you. He says coaching. This Rover says, start of the season, I've always said don't fire Thibs. He just needs to adjust. But now 60 games in, I'm fully on board. The Thibs retires to the front office train now. First class, wine and dine option.
I know that's not a topic. I mean, and what do you think about that? I'll chime in after. But what do you think about the whole fire Tibbs thing? Like that it's kind of picking up here, especially with the 0-7. What do you feel about that?
It has been picking up. Obviously, you know, it's one of those conversations where I know it's a cop out, but it's like, ask me when the playoffs end. Like, I really want to see this team in the playoffs because, like we stated earlier, good record, best start since the 97 season, And it's still like everyone is just seems like they're not thrilled, like they're not happy, because mainly you've sucked against Boston, Cleveland, and OKC. You haven't played well. You haven't really made adjustments in those games. And tonight is going to be a really interesting game because JJ Redick is obviously he's a young coach in this league, and obviously he makes the adjustments. And they came into MSG, and I think they got outcoached in that game. Obviously, they dealt with the OJ Anunoby injury, but yeah, that's always been hanging around Tom Thibodeau is the in-game adjustments, the stubbornness. It's like Golden State just signed Kevin Knox a couple weeks ago, and he's already playing in games. And it's like I was thinking to myself, I'm like, would that ever happen to us? Like, would Tom Thibodeau ever do that?
No.
Like, would we sign like a Moses Brown, and would we sign like a TJ Warren has been rumored for the rest of the season? And would Tibbs just play them? No. And that's where I get upset. So ask me again when the playoffs end, and then I'll give you a good answer. Because I can't say, yeah, fire him and look at our record. You know, I can't say that. But
it's the same thing with the Mikal piece, right? He's averaging 17 and a half points a game. It's like.
But I understand that crowd, and there's been post games where I've been totally on board, you know. But I just think you're not gonna do it now. I mean, if anything, it'll be a summer thing. But yeah, hit more of these comments. Appreciate the comment though, this Rover. Matt says, I remember early on in the season, it was games that Mikal was more aggressive and didn't hesitate twice to score. If he would go back to that mindset, he would be fine. Yeah, look, December, he had a great month. He picked it up, and it just seems like he's okay. Like, right? He's okay.
Right. Agreed.
But going back to the lineup changes, LV, so going to Duce McBride. Duce McBride has been playing better, has been playing more consistently, and the Knicks are a better offensive team and defensive team with Duce McBride on the court. And I've seen it in the post games. A lot of people want Duce McBride to start. A lot of people want to put Mikal on the bench or Josh Hart on the bench and insert Duce McBride. And the numbers suggest it. The Knicks have been closing out with Duce McBride. So I think a lot of fans are sitting there wondering, like, look, if they're closing with Duce McBride, Diz went to him a little bit too late in the Golden State game. Why not just start him? I've said, you know, it doesn't really work like that. I don't think they should just start Duce because it's a domino effect. You ruin the confidence of Mikal. It's only year one of this experiment. So I don't think they go down that route. But Duce has been playing better, and that's a positive for this team.
Agreed, man. I like Duce. I like Duce coming off the bench. That's where he needs to be, coming off the bench. Duce does not need to start, man. You know, the NBA teams are good, guys. Like, these coaches are good. They'll scheme Duce, man. They'll put him in situations where he'll be struggling offensively and defensively. These coaches are really, really good. I mean, there's certain matchups he'll do well in, but when you start getting into the elite teams and you start, because that's what the playoffs are, he's going to struggle, man. A lot of times you see him playing really well. A lot of times he's doing that against, like, backups. There's been moments that he's done well. But can he have a whole season of starting and really, really doing well against, like, the top? He's going to struggle, man. He's going to struggle. And I see limitations in Duce's game. I see where he's gotten better, but I see where he's kind of still, like, he still needs development. Like, he still does. And so I think to put that pressure on his shoulders, I don't think he's ready for that yet. And I think him coming off the bench, kind of being a spark plug, I think is best suited for his game. Now, if he has it going, finish out the game with him. I don't see the issue with that. Like, you know, it's no problem. And the whole thing of benching Mikal, I think that's all, once again, like, overstated, man. Look, Tibbs did that sometimes with RJ. He did that sometimes with RJ. And IQ would be finishing out games.
Yep.
It happens sometimes. And to me, that's where now I have to side with Tibbs. Because, look, if he lets Duce finish out the game, then people are like, yeah, see. But then if Duce doesn't have it going, and then it's like, oh, you got to sub him in. It's like no, you guys want to Duce to finish out a game, let him finish out the game. So it's like you can't win for losing, right? So it's like I think that it's a game by game situation. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. Last game, Josh Hart was straight garbage. I'm sorry,
Nah,
I don't want to say it, but
nah,
he was
he was
bad.
bad. He was terrible.
He was really bad.
One of Josh Hart's
Should
worst
Josh
games.
Hart have came back in that game for Duce? I don't think so. No. We were down by one. I thought he waited too long to put Brunson in, but if we were down by one, you put Josh Hart back in, that's the play where automatically they swing the ball up to the guy, number 15. He knocks open a wide open three. Whose man is that? Defensive miscommunication as soon as Josh Hart gets in the game.
Yeah.
He just didn't have it going.
He's been
So why
struggling
did
from
Tibbs
three.
make that right? Why did Tibbs make that decision? Like, you should have just kept Duce in, right? Okay, cool. He did that fine. So to me, I think it's just a game by game situation. I don't think it's all absolutes, right? I like Duce. Duce is not a better player than Mikal Bridges. He's just not. He's not. I think he's good, but I don't think he's better than Mikal Bridges. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be honest here. Like he his like how good he is and his limitations. He's not that big. He's only 6'1". He'll get cooked by a lot of these big dudes, like a DeAndre Hunter or something like that. He'll get cooked by them dudes. It's happened numerous times. He's not big enough. So once again, you got to pay attention to matchups and all that. It's just not in the numbers. Like, the numbers can kind of get like little, like, it's ill like that, because it can kind of get it can kind of screw with you in mentally, because you're thinking like, oh, because these numbers say this. Yeah, but these guys, these coaches know what they're doing. So once they notice a weak link here and a matchup issue, Duce's size, they're gonna put a guy like, and someone's gonna cook Duce, and then people are gonna say, "Where's Mikal Bridges?" We're gonna say, "No. You said let Duce play, let him play." So you got to make adjustments based on the game, man. You got to do that. The game, once again, not only is two tips quote, but I think a game will tell you what to do. So that's where you kind of have to do that. You know what I mean? But let Duce do what he's doing, man. He's coming off the bench. He's playing better.
Yeah.
Let's keep that rolling. Let's not mess with it. You know what I'm saying? It's going good.
That's what I say. That's my retort to that. And well said. That's what I say. You know what they say, LV? Size matters. So you got to keep Mikal Bridges in the game and keep him starting. And, Mikal's just been one of those, Knicks that has just been inconsistent. But if you look at his numbers, like we stated, they've been fine. So I don't think you mess with the bench, especially Mitch Robinson coming back. I think it's an interesting wrinkle that, Tom Thibodeau has yet to play Mitch and Towns. Now they've only played 2 games together. They haven't played together on the court yet. Mitch started last game. No Karl-Anthony Towns. It's going to be interesting if he just goes back to the bench tonight versus the Lakers, which I think he will do. Because, look, he hasn't played them together in the first 2 games, LV. Do you think that's anything, do you think that's by design, or do you think that's just he just wants Mitch to come in and give that next defensive, spark, give that the Knicks more of a defensive edge when Mitch is in the game? Because Mitch has come in and he has shown you exactly why we missed him. The offensive rebounds, the loose ball stuff, the presence around the rim. Mitch has been good. He's on a minute restriction, but Mitch has been great. So what do you say to the Mitch and Cat? Do you think eventually he'll go through those lineups? Do you think eventually Mitch will start to put Josh Hart on the bench? Because Hart has just been indecisive, even versus the game versus Golden State. Terrible game, struggling. Teams are leaving him wide open. And J.J. Redick tonight's going to leave Josh Hart wide open, daring him to shoot. His defender's not even going to be.
That's his boy, too. They're real close. Yeah. They're real tight.
Yeah, he's going to leave him open. When Hart is making his shots, it opens up the floor. Like, everything, the offense is flowing. But Knicks' offense really hasn't been elite lately. Early on in the season where we were, top in the league, top 2 in the league, it's kind of been okay lately, not great. Obviously, injuries have dealt with that, but Hart just has been, struggling ever since the last game especially. But do you equate that to the knee? Do you equate that to just off game? We move on. That's it.
I don't know, man. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, he just hasn't had it going. I mean, I think he's hitting the wall. I think he's hitting a slump. I think a part of it could be with the knee.
Yeah.
I mean, if you even go back, this is an issue with his knee he's been having since college, man. This has been a long time thing for him. So, it's weird because he's such a key cog to what it is that we want to do, right? He is the heart and soul of this team. So it's hard to really say, okay, we should bench him, we should do this. This whole, once again, everybody's got to chill with all this benching stuff. Like, these guys are really good ball players. If they have a couple of bad games, doesn't mean you just kick them off the team. Like, it doesn't go like that.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't make that move. But once again, I think that you have to, two things. I think you have to identify what a player looks like that night. If he's struggling, but another guy has it going,
I think
like
Thibs struggles with that.
Yeah, he does. He does. And I'm glad you said that. And this is where the issue with the whole Tibbs thing. That's why I asked you the question earlier, like I asked you, because all these things.
But he did a good job versus Miami, where Duce was rolling, Mikal sat on the bench.
Right. But he's got to be consistent with that. He's got to pay attention to what's going on in the game, and I don't think sometimes he does that. Like, perfect example, right? When I felt we were close against the Golden State, he should have brought Brunson back in sooner because we needed an offensive punch. You went to OG too much, and he started getting tired. So, to me, that's where you make that decision. But he didn't. Okay, cool. Let's move on. But there's been too many times this year where that's happened. And you're kind of seeing, like, where Tibbs is having issues with that, to your point. Now, with the whole you asked me a whole thing with Mitch and Cat thing. I think it's just a minutes thing. I think they're monitoring Mitch. He's only a couple of games in. And I think they want to see. They revved him up. Each game he's getting more and more minutes, right? Because last game I think he played, 15 or 18 minutes last game because he started. So they're revving him up. So, I think it's just kind of like, a feel-out stage to see where he's at conditioning-wise and all that other stuff. But I would not be surprised within the closing weeks you might see that lineup because I think that's going to be big for us in the playoffs. Because then we get a chance to see what Cat looks like at the 4 and Mitch at the 5. So that could be something that Tibbs is holding in his back pocket. And he might probably try it out during practice, during that week when they're doing the playing games, right? He might try that out in practice and see what that looks like. Because that gives them time to kind of really work with that. Because I think that's going to be big for us to see exactly what that matchup looks like. Because if we do that, of course, I think Josh Hart's going to the bench. But, it's something I think is definitely coming. It's definitely coming.
On that point, what I think you can't discount is Porty going down. Because now the Knicks are small. You start Mitch alongside Cat. You're going to rely on Precious off the bench as your lone big, quote unquote, to come in, do your thing. Precious in that Golden State game. I said it during the Golden State game. Sometimes it just looks like he's lagging. His controller got disconnected. It's like, what's going on, Precious? you gotta get your head in the game, man. There's no aggressive. You're playing 2K. Sometimes he's lagging a little bit.
Oh man, you sound like me. I say he looks like he's out there at 24-hour fitness, man. He's just like all over the place. Agreed.
Yeah. So I think the Porty injury kind of maybe it switched Thibs' mindset. Like, all right, now we need Mitch off the bench, more size. We need to get Mitch off the bench. And, sprinkle him in here, but we just haven't seen Cat and Mitch together. We will, hopefully, eventually. And I just do think that will come. But Mitch has been great. The game versus Miami, there was a sequence in that third quarter, LV diving for a loose ball, offensive rebound, kicking it out for a 3. It's just little stuff like that where we missed tremendously. And, shout out to Mitch, but Precious has just been meh. He's just been mad.
Well, but Ant, if you're paying attention, when Cat is back, Precious is out of the rotation.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because he's going 4. He's even playing Shamet.
Yeah.
Over Precious. So he's showing his hand what the rotation is going to be, right? Because Campaign's going to play because he needs somebody to come in for Brunson, right? So he's going to play in the playoffs. You got Mitch, you got Duce, you got Shamet. He's going 4. He's going 9 deep. That's it. Maybe Precious plays if someone gets injured or something like that, but I think he's out of the circle, man. I think he's kind of like done with.
Yeah, he's been but Mitch has been back and Cat's been healthy. It's been, Shamet who's been playing better. Payne provides the energy, obviously Duce and Mitch coming in off the bench, but it's been 2 games and they've been 2-0 with everyone in there. So, you just have to hope that this West Coast trip coming up is a gauntlet. It is. It's a gauntlet. You got the Lakers tonight and, we'll get into a preview coming up here. Appreciate every single one of you tuning in. Once again, kind of reset the room a little bit. The Knicks are coming off the loss against the Golden State Warriors. They are 40-21, best start since the 97 season, and just trying to get a a pulse of the fan base. Just trying to get a pulse of the fan base. So put a poll in the YouTube chat. What's the pulse? What's your pulse of the season thus far? I'm cool is at 42%. Get me to the playoffs is at 47%. I'm disappointed is at 11%. 36 votes thus far. I heard this on one of the radio stations, LV, that kind of the Knicks really, I guess the disconnect has been the Knicks really don't have a soul to their team. People don't resonate with this team compared to last year's team. Really, there's not like a real connection to this year's team, and that is you can put that in the equation why people are kind of like down about this season. But me personally, I'm cool with it. We've had bad games. It's still a long way to go, but yeah, what do you like? I've heard that this Knicks team is soulless. There's no, they don't resonate with this team, and it takes time. We need big moments.
Time. Yeah, it definitely takes time. I think that last year's team resonated with this team because of the players that were on the team, right?
Yeah.
They represent New York, right? So Iheart, of course, being the center of that, right? His tenacity and how hard he plays. New Yorkers, we love that, man. And even though Randall had his issues, Randall played hard and he played with an edge that New Yorkers like, right? And then Dante being Dante, right? I don't need to say more about him, right? He's everything that this city represents, right? So that's where the love came from, and we grinded out wins, right? And that was because of our defense and just how tough we were. We were tougher than most teams. We bullied a lot of teams. And then we had an attack dog at the top of the key in Jalen Brunson that could score. So OG Anunoby he was the perfect piece because you got another guy on the wing that's defensive. He's kind of going to get in your face. And then you have Josh Hart. So it just worked. The camaraderie was perfect. So, but we hit a ceiling with that team. We could not compete offensively with the top dogs. We could not. So that's why the change happened, right? So you got more of a finesse type of player. Mikal is a finesse guy. He's not a hard nose in your face. He's more of a finesse player. So is Cat. But we're one of the best offensive teams in the league. So you got to give to get. And so I think that's why in some ways it's not resonating with a lot of New Yorkers because it's not the type of play that they're used to and that they like. That 96-97 team, not giving my age, but that was my era. But they were kind of like last year's team. They were hard-nosed. They were great defensively. They just had a lot of guys on the team that represented this city because of their hard-nosed approach to the game. You don't really have that this year. You got a lot of finesse guys. You got a couple of hard-nosed guys like Josh Hart and, of course, OG Anunoby, even Brunson. But the rest of the guys are like finesse dudes. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's where that is the disconnect, if that makes any sense.
Isaiah says, here's some of these comments. Isaiah says, are you guys nervous about tonight? I'm a bit, just because of how good the Lakers are playing. All right, so game preview, Knicks-Lakers tonight. Luka Magic. Lakers are hot, man. Still can't believe that Luka Doncic is on the Lakers.
Yeah.
I am sorry if you are a Dallas Maverick fan. Actually, no, I'm not. You tanked a couple of years ago to kind of get your pick back from us. So, sports karma.
That's right. They did do that. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. I remember. I don't forget. Derek Lively could have been ours. But Knicks, Lakers. Lakers are playing well. Knicks seem like they're at full strength. Hopefully, Anunoby's questionable with his sprained thumb. Cat seems like he's back. Mitch is questionable, injury. Just injury. They're just watching his injury. But expectations for tonight, LV, is 10 p.m. Eastern. It's on TNT. Knicks really haven't played well on national television. So, and the Lakers are hot. Prediction. What do you got?
Oh, man. If OG Anunoby plays, and with everybody, I think we pull out this victory today. I think we do. The biggest question I have is not how we match up. I don't have issues with that because we got the horses. It's with the coaches. It's with Tibbs and JJ Redick, man. Because JJ Redick put on a coaching clinic last game. Like, he coached circles around Tibbs. And so that's my biggest concern about this matchup. is what is Tibbs ready to do as far as adjustments and all those other things, and did he learn from last game? Because they don't have the size, they don't have anything that we have, but they have LeBron and they have Luka and they have a bunch of role guys around them that play hard. So we should beat this team with no
Yeah,
problem.
yeah.
But
Should.
it's what is right. We should. But that's why I say that leans into the coaching piece because now it's all about the adjustments. Adjustments being if they come out in this, what do you do? If they do this, what do you do, Tibbs? If they're running zone, what do you do, Tibbs? Like, why is everybody running zone and we don't know what to
Can't
do?
figure it out.
This is
It's like year
listen,
three,
this is
man.
easy.
It's like
Yo,
year
this
three.
is easy, man. If they run a 2-3 or 3-2, that's 3 guys at the top, 2 guys at the bottom. You got to flash a guy to a middle. You can't come up and set a screen. You don't run your regular offense. You got to go to the open spot and hit the guy that's open in the middle of the paint, and then you can attack the zone. They've been doing it since middle school. This is the easiest thing to break down. So to me, I have no idea what Tibbs is doing. He got guys coming up setting screens. What are you doing, man? Like that's why we look stagnant the way we do. But that's coaching. And so to me, it comes down to the coaching matchup because I think based on what we got, our horses, we should beat these guys with no problem. But JJ Redick's over there, and I think he's a great mind, man. He's great, and we got to see if Tibbs can pretty much make up for what happened last time.
7 of the next 8 games, are on the road. You have the Lakers, Clippers, Sacramento, Portland, Golden State again. Come home to Miami. Then you take a quick flight to San Antonio, Charlotte, and then the schedule gets easier, if you want to say that. But final West Coast trip of the season starts tonight versus the Lakers. Yeah, I think we can beat this team. I really do think. Lakers are smaller. Now we got Cat and Mitch. That's going to give them issues. I think if Tibbs gets out-coached like he did last time, then we're going to lose. We're going to lose. And, we got to hit our shots, too. Once again, offensively, if you're open, you got to hit your shots. Mikal has to hit his shots if he's open. OG has been playing phenomenal. Brunson has been awesome. Cat, hopefully that his mind is right. He's back now. JJ Redick's going to put a smaller defender on Cat.
Josh Hart's got to shoot with confidence, man.
Yeah,
he's got to shoot like he wants to. He wants to make the shot, not like he feels he's going to miss it. Like he's been big, and that's where the offense because they drop off him, man. So it's like you're playing 5-on-4, and then he does like he's scared to shoot. It's like, yo, man, come on, you're an NBA player, man. Shoot the ball with confidence, man. What are you practicing for? And that's what makes things very, very stagnant too offensively, man. Like he's been really bad. People been killing Mikal, cool. You can do that. But Josh has been atrocious as of late, man, offensively. He's been really bad. They got to fix that issue, man, quick.
They're going to leave him open. Josh, the thing about Josh Hart is when he makes his decisions quick, when he makes first read, when he's open, he has to shoot it, man. He can't just be dribbling up at the top of the key, just looking for the next play, and he's wide open. Like, bro, the play is you shoot the ball. That's the play. You can't try to get Brunson and Mikal to shoot with confidence, and hopefully tonight he can snap out of it. I think he can, and I'm predicting a win tonight. LV, I am. Lakers have been on their high horse lately. People have been crowning the Lakers for the last 2 weeks. But, I said it in one of the post games that the Knicks were in the Western Conference, they would be the number 2 seed. And I know they haven't really been beating these marquee teams, but I think tonight is a chance to make a statement. TNT, you've seen what has been said about you. And tonight, go out there and make a statement. Win in LA, kind of shut their water off a little bit, and we have a back-to-back tomorrow versus the Clippers, but I think tonight is a chance for this Knicks team to kind of show the world that we're legit, Show everyone that we can beat the Lakers, or I'm not even worried about the Lakers, but, it's a statement game. It's a big game. Right. Knicks-Lakers in LA,
right. Right.
So I'm hoping for a win. I am. I'm hoping for a win. Tony says, I hate the Lakers. Ant knows what I was at the game when we played them in MSG. We played terrible. Lakers defense is good. I don't think we win tonight. I just hope it's not a blowout. Yeah, Tony was at that Knicks-Lakers game in MSG. Unfortunately, we couldn't pull out a victory. Keith says, we need to get this win. Dude, what's going on, Keith? Isaiah says, Cat got locked up last game. Can't let that happen this time. Yeah, he did. Can't. Matt says Hart would be a beast off the bench. We need that bench jolt. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit, LV. But it's. I think with the Knicks' lack of size on the bench now with Hukporti on the shelf, I think that kind of went out the little window a little bit because you need Mitch's size off the bench. Not that you need his size off the bench, but I think the lack of trust for Precious is, Thibs, he had to go to him last game with no Cat, but I think Precious, like we said, has been out of the rotation, so Mitch has been the anchor to coming off the bench and provide a spark. So, yeah. Okay, so a lot of I see a lot of the people in the chat, LV, talking about, all right, if the Knicks season ended today, they would be playing the Detroit Pistons in the first round. So the Knicks are number 3 seed, Pistons are the number 6 seed. Between the Pistons, Pacers, or the Milwaukee Bucks, LV, who would you rather play in the first round? Super early?
Oh man, I want to see the Bucks. I don't want anything with the Pistons, man. I don't want anything with the Pistons. Pistons are a dangerous team for us. Dangerous team. And hey, my man, they blew out Boston by 20. They beat Boston by 20, man, by 20. We can't even sniff a victory towards Boston. They smoked them by 20. So when you got a young, hungry team that they don't really know their potential just yet, they're just playing off of confidence and, J.B. Bickerstaff over there really motivating these guys. And you got young, athletic wings out there. Kate Ketterman, 6'6", 6'7". You got Thompson. He's about 6'7", 6'8". He's athletic. Then you got the big dudes in the middle, Jaden Duran and Stewart. They get active in the middle there. Then, of course, you got the sharpshooter and Beasley and Hardaway Jr. I mean, they got some players over there that are hungry, man. And so that's a dangerous team to play right now. Dangerous. But to me, I think we get the Bucks, man. They can't match up against us. They just can't.
Yeah.
Just matchups, just the players, the numbers, like all that stuff. They don't have the players. They just don't, and they're older, right? So I think we get the Bucks out of there in 5.
So you say Bucks. I said the Pistons. Bucks. I said, look, I know we've been terrible against the Pistons this year. We did blow them out early on in the season. I think it's the first week. But we do match up well against the Milwaukee Bucks, but they will still have the best player in that series in Giannis. But I would say the Pistons with the inexperience. I know that we played poorly against them. They've come into MSG. They've shown that they're not afraid. They've tried to punk us in MSG. Stewart with his shenanigans and all that, if you don't remember that. But I would say the Pistons, but I wouldn't complain if you pick the Bucks. But I would just say the inexperience with the Pistons. But be careful what you wish for, right? Be careful what you wish for. But I would say the Pistons. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be exciting to see, man. I mean, just in all honesty, man, just get to the playoffs. Just get to the playoffs. Exactly. Get to the playoffs. Get the playoffs healthy, and then we'll take it from there, man. But that's the biggest thing for me. I want everybody healthy, right? I want everybody there ready to go. I don't want no mishaps. I don't want anybody dealing with no ailments. Let's get in there healthy. We weren't healthy last year. So let's get in there healthy and see exactly what we can be, man. So this should be really, really exciting. So
the beauty is that where the Knicks are at right now, they're 4 games ahead of Milwaukee in the loss column in between the 3rd and the 4th seed. So I think they would have the final 5 or 6 or 7 games of the season if they can lock up that 3rd seed and they can't go anywhere, can't go up, can't go down. I think that will be beneficial to them. You rest the big dogs, you get them right, you don't push it. And then we can just go from there. Obviously, it's super early,
Right, but Ed, is Tibbs going to rest those guys? He's not going to rest those guys, man. He's going to play those guys 40 minutes every night. He's insane. That's the issue.
Nah, he's not. He's not that crazy. He's not that crazy. Come on now. He's not that crazy.
And listen, look, Cat was screaming about his knee, and he put him back in the game.
Yeah.
With 2 minutes left, and we were down by 20. I said, Tibbs, what are you doing? He said he was okay. He was good to go. Tibbs, the game is over, Tibbs. Game is over. Why are you putting your star player back? And you just grabbing his knee like his knee was about to fall off, and you put him back in the game. I don't
versus
trust him.
Celtics. Yeah, I don't.
I
Yeah.
don't right. I don't trust Tibbs. If like, and I like that mindset that you have. I agree with that. Most new young coaches think that way. Not this guy. Not him.
No.
So I wouldn't trust Tibbs in that situation.
Nah, Tibbs respects the game too much, a little bit too much. Yeah, that game versus Boston where you put Cat back in, I was like, come on, man. Come on, you can't be doing that. But, hey, if the Knicks have the third seed locked up with nothing to play for, these guys are not going to play 40-plus minutes a game, LV. I mean, obviously, if they have, like, bonuses in their contract, like if Brunson has to hit a certain bonus, then he's going to want to play. Or if Cat has to hit a bonus to get it like $1 million or $250,000, they're going to play for that bonus. But if everything is locked up, Tom Thibodeau, I'm looking in the camera, he's not going to do that, man. He's not going to do that. And if he does that, come back to me and tell me I was wrong. But
no, it is not a matter of being wrong, and it's just a matter of what are you going to do to Tibbs? What are you going to say about Tibbs? What are you going to say? Because Tibbs is Tibbs, man, and that's the thing. Like you'll be like, yo, Tibbs, the playoffs start next week, man. Why is Brunson still in the game? We're up by 20. Like, what are you doing, Tibbs? He's got to sit down. Oh, it's the fourth quarter, but Tibbs, I don't care. We got playoffs next week. Put Campaign in, put Kolek in, and let's sit him on the bench.
Deal with the Knicks, and Marjan Beauchamp signs a 2-way deal with the Knicks as a former first-round pick.
Ohead, that's a great point, Ohead. But the problem with the Moses Brown thing, when is he going to play? He's not playing over Mitch. They want to get Mitch revved up. So where do you fit him in at?
Or Precious.
They're not going to right. They're not going to play him over Precious. They're not going to do that because Tibbs doesn't trust him. You know,
Don't say they. Just put Tibbs. Just say Tibbs.
Tibbs doesn't trust him. Right. Tibbs doesn't trust him. So where do you? You know what I'm saying? So where do you really play him at? So that's the thing with the Moses Brown piece.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Kevin Knox, man. I thought it was cool watching him back in the Garden. And they played him too. I was like, what?
They played him. Yeah, they played him. He looked
this?
all right too. He looked all right. He looked
right.
bad. He looked like his game has gotten better. You know what I mean? So it's good to see, man. Oh, once a Knick, always a Knick.
Got a question in here before we wrap up. I really like Mikal, but I'm interested to see if Mitch can take his spot and we keep Josh on the floor. At this point, would you like Mitch taking Josh's spot or Mikal's spot? Kind of going back to the conversation we had, LV, what's going on, Shay Say? What's going on, Shay Say Shorts? But I would just leave it right now. I wouldn't touch it. I would, you know, especially you're thin on the bench in terms of size. The Huck Porty injury kind of, you know, hampered that a little bit. So I think you roll with Mitch on the bench. He's been fine, solid off the bench. He's been playing with the bench. He's been okay. And he's been playing with starters as well, even though, you know, he's on a minute restriction. But I guess in a perfect world, everyone healthy, I would say Mitch taking Josh Hart's spot and then putting Josh Hart back on the bench. That's what I would do.
Guys, Mikal Bridges is not going to the bench, man. He's never come off the bench his whole career. He started, even when he was in Phoenix, he started. So he's too good of a player, guys. I know he's been up and down this year. He's a long 3-and-D wing, man. He's 6'6". He can guard anybody. So, and he can score, and he's got a better offensive game than Josh Hart. So all you would have to do is put him at the 2, and you put OG Anunoby at the 3 in his real true position at the 3. So it's just matchups, guys. Like, I get it. Like, I understand what people see and how they feel. But as a coach, you got to look through that lens. Like, he's not going to start Josh Hart over Josh Hart's great at rebounding, right? His defense has been atrocious this year. It's been really bad. How many corner threes has he been giving up? Like, it's been really, really bad. He has not been good defensively. So Mikal has been better defensively, and Mikal is bigger. So you guys just gotta, kind of like think outside the box. Like, I understand how you feel about Mikal and all this other stuff, but think like how a coach would think. They're not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? It's just matchup wise.
Yes, sir. All right, LV. Big one versus the Lakers tonight. Appreciate you hopping on once again. Thank everyone for tuning in. Anything else before you wanted to hop on out of here? This was fun. This was good.
Yeah,
we back,
fun,
man. It's been a couple of
West
weeks.
Coast.
It's been a couple of weeks. We've been busy.
Yeah, been a couple of weeks.
Doing a lot of work, but we back. Been a couple of weeks. Playoffs are starting soon, so appreciate everyone in the chat. LV has a YouTube channel as well. Link is in the description. all the fun stuff. Knicks Lakers tonight. Can't wait. Let's get back on track. Beat LA. Shut their water off. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Anthony. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace.